Hello and welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. In the studio today, we have an Epiphone Viola Bass. Let's check it out. This features a maple top, flame maple back. It also has maple sides, but you can't see it under this opaque finish. It has a bound body, set neck design to a maple neck. And there must be several iterations of this bass because the Epiphone website says this is an okume fingerboard, where other sources have it listed as either rosewood or palfaro. In person, this board does not look like rosewood or palfaro, so this must be the okume version. This bass features more modern machined tuning gears, 2 mini humbuckers, and the electronic control panel is different than what you would find on a typical Hofner. This one has volume, and master tone. So it does allow you to blend different volumes of the pickups, and I find having a master tone control to be a welcome addition. Let's hear some of the sounds we can get from this bass. Let's start with the neck pickup with the tone knob rolled all the way off. Let's roll the tone knob up to about 50%. And now with the tone knob all the way up. Now let's hear both pickups, so volumes all the way up for both, and let's start with the tone knob at 0. Tone knob at 50%, both pickups. Let's roll the tone knob up to 100, both pickups. Now let's hear the bridge pickup alone. Tone knob all the way down. Tone knob at 50, bridge pickup. Bridge pickup, tone at 100. Now let's hear this bass along to a drum track. For this playing example, I've chosen 4 different sounds. The first one is with the neck pickup with a tone at 0%. The second, neck pickup with a tone at 50. The third sound, both pickups with a tone at 0. And the fourth sound, both pickups with a tone at 50%. Let's have a listen. talk about some of the good things I like about this bass. The first thing, these modern tuning machine heads feel much more robust and also stay in tune a little bit better than the typical traditional tuning machines you get on a Hofner bass. So even though it doesn't quite look like the vintage spec, I think from a functionality point of view, these feel far more robust. I also quite like the 30.5 inch scale neck. I love playing short scale basses in general, but this is a very comfortable scale length and it's a comfortable neck to play on. Now let's talk about the neck. Compared to the Hofner Ignition series and the Contemporary series, this neck feels a little bit wider, but also flatter in terms of profile. And I think that could be an advantage because the typical Hofner necks feel pretty thick but narrow. So if you're switching between larger neck instruments and a Hofner, that stark difference could sometimes be jarring to your hand. So this is kind of somewhere in between. It's still pretty narrow string spacing, but it feels slightly wider and flatter than a Hofner neck. In terms of electronics, I really like this electronic control layout. I think having volume, tone is a much more intuitive layout for me, especially coming from the Fender world. I also think having a master tone control does make the instrument more versatile because you're able to get different tones and in-between settings, unlike the more typical Hofner control layout with the different switches. Now let's talk about some of the things that I don't quite like about it. You may be wondering, well, why didn't you include playing examples with a tone knob higher than 50%? And now there's a practical reason for that. This instrument is a rental from my local Long McQuaid music store. So as such, I didn't really want to mess around with the setup very much. But if you look at the saddles, and I'm going to put up a close-up photo here, you will notice that it is just a thin piece of rounded metal, and there is not a dedicated slot for the string to pass through. As such, it's only the string tension itself that's keeping it from slipping on the saddle. Now, I'm not a hard player by any means, but on certain plucks, especially on the higher strings, I can actually feel the string sliding back and forth on the saddle a very small amount. Now, with the tone knob rolled higher than 50, that kind of metal on metal sliding noise I can hear, and it results in some metallic resonances that I really don't care for. So as such, the playing examples did not include anything higher than a tone knob of 50%. Aside from that though, the build quality is overall pretty good, and for the price, if you really want to get into that Beatle bass territory and that Beatle vibe without breaking the bank, this could be a viable alternative. Now, you may be asking, well, why buy this over the Hofner? And I think I'm going to summarize the few reasons why I think this could potentially be a better choice for you. Is if you like slightly wider string spacing compared to the Hofner, then this may be a better choice for you. This has 14 millimeter string spacing, measured center to center, and I'll put up a picture here. In contrast, the string spacing on my Hofner Contemporary club bass over here is only 12.5. So this Epiphone does have slightly wider string spacing, and if you're switching between instruments, especially coming from either a 5-string or 4-string Fender with 19 millimeter string spacing, then going from 19 to 14 is still a pretty big jump, but a smaller jump than going from 19 to 12.5. If you prefer a more kind of traditional Fender style volume tone control panel, then this may also be a better choice for you. And if you like a slightly wider neck but a flatter profile, then this neck may be better for you. However, both the Hofner Ignition Beatle Bass and this Epiphone Viola Bass come in around 650 Canadian dollars at time of filming. So they're both very similar price-wise. And in terms of sound and playability, I think that's more personal for all the reasons we've just talked about. But I think this Epiphone Viola Bass could potentially be a viable Hofner Beatle Bass alternative. So be sure to check it out. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'll see you next time.